President Trump and Mayor-elect Mamdani look like they hit it off there, Mr. Producer. Maybe they'll be buddies. You never know. I mean, here's the thing about communists. They typically are very charismatic, I think. They know how to speak, very slick. Because what else do they have? Their ideology is a complete failure. It's genocidal. And you got to be able to cut through the superficial, particularly when you're dealing with these communists, whether Xi or Un or any of them in the Central and South America areas. But, you know, there was a meeting in the Oval Office with the president. They seem to have hit it off. Don't look at me. I'm just telling you what I think I heard. And we'll get into that. Tucker Carlson is now stabbing Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, in the back, because that's what he does. And people who align with him risk that. He's an utterly disloyal thug. That's what he is. No offense. Not trying to be rude. It is what it is. We'll do a little memory lane with Megyn Kelly, who's utterly and completely unhinged. First she loves me, says she stalks me from afar, and now she hates me. Very weird. And then we have bloated Bannon. Wasn't that long ago. I think it was a year ago, right, Mr. Producer, where he was slobbering all over Israel, Netanyahu. Now he's just slobbering. These are all chameleons, America. It's who they are. Now, most of you aren't following them. Most of you would never waste your money or time. I get it. But some young people do, you know. Fuentes, who walks around his house practicing Heil Hitler signs and clicking his heels. It's hard to tell if he's in The Wizard of Oz or if he's playing SS. I can tell little Adolf right now that when you're 3 feet 8 inches tall, the SS would never accept you. You'd be thrown in the camps, particularly with a name like Fuentes. What kind of name is that, Mr. Is that Mexican? I don't know. I mean, if he's going to deport me somewhere, I'm right here. We're multiple generations American. Where do we deport him to? Mexico? I don't know. They probably wouldn't take him. Who would take him anyway? Well, it's Friday. All the cylinders are hammering away, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in a fantastic mood. Not so much because it's Friday. I'm just in a fantastic mood. It happens, you know. But let us start with the Trump-Mamdani meeting in the Oval Office today and take a listen in. Cut 14, go.
For you, you've referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu?
So the question is, it's a little muddled there. You referred to Mr. Mamdani, he's talking to President Trump, as a communist. Can you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York? I think those are pretty good questions, actually. Go ahead.
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question, and on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people he won't surprise them because they already like him.
I'm not sure what all that means, but we certainly look forward to being surprised. It's one thing when people are liberal and they kind of become moderate, they become conservative, or people leave the Democrat Party because the Democrat Party left. The guy's a Marxist Islamist. And as recently as yesterday, he was trashing the people in a synagogue, a major synagogue in New York City, those people who were threatened, had horrible things said about them when the Islamists had gathered outside to intimidate them. He says, I don't support that, but these bastards in the synagogue, you know. So I just don't cut people like this slack. I really don't. I really don't. He has said horrendous things. And that doesn't change with the snap of two fingers. It just doesn't. In my humble opinion, I'm just speaking for myself. We couldn't get him on the radio show. We've tried many, many times to get him on the radio show. Cut 15, go.
I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, like what do you say for the Lebanese today? It's in the independent state in Lebanon. And what is your next move to push toward disarmament?
Sure. Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Nobody else could pull that off. $20 trillion, that's a lot. And that's an understatement. Go ahead.
If you go to 2 trillion or 1 trillion, it's a lot. We have 20 or 21 trillion dollars. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now.
No, he doesn't want to see peace in the Middle East. He wants to see Israel eliminated. And he's made it utterly clear over the course, that is, Mamdani, of his very short and very thin career. And he's thrown in with organizations that actively seek the elimination of the state of Israel. So I can't agree with that. Go ahead.
Peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years, and now we're going to refine it. And I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
You know, the thing about President Trump is he really is trying to find ways, whether it's in the Middle East or Europe or Central South America, he really is trying to find ways to resolve disputes. Folks, I have a question for you. Do you believe America's best days are still ahead? With the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence coming up in less than a year, my friends at the Heritage Foundation are taking stock of the current situation, and they need your input. They've launched a survey on America's future to gauge how Americans feel right now about where we are as a nation and where we're headed in the next 250 years. You know, for decades, your American values have been under attack, but now, with President Trump's administration in office, we have an opportunity to turn the tide and usher in a new golden age for America. But the Heritage Foundation needs to hear from you. What policies do patriots like you most care about? What do you believe are the defining principles of America? What legacy do you believe we should pass on to the next generation? Please visit heritage.org/Levin today and share your feedback and help shape the future of America. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Now we have Ukraine and Russia, and obviously Ukraine is very upset about whatever the proposal is, and I don't know what the proposal is. And Zelensky says we have a choice of either losing our dignity altogether or losing basically our best friend. That sounds to me like Russia would get to keep everything it has stolen and maybe take more. I hope that's not the case. Boy, would that send the wrong signal, in my humble opinion. It just would. And all these people in Ukraine defending their country, defending their neighborhoods and their communities. And the thing is, that's a country, Ukraine, in 1994 that signed an agreement with Bill Clinton and also with Russia and Great Britain that if they surrender their nuclear weapons to Russia after the collapse of the Soviet Union, that they would be protected by us, by Britain, and by Russia. And obviously that didn't work out, did it? So I can completely understand why Ukraine is concerned. Completely. And Putin's a psychopath, and he's demonstrated himself to be a psychopath. Just like the guy that interviewed him, Katarlson. Just pointing that out. But don't worry, they have a very clean subway, so that kind of fixes everything. 1 million people have died in Russia. That is, 1 million of their soldiers have died. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? And that doesn't count all the death and mayhem and so forth, the rapes and the stealing of children that have taken place against little Ukraine that's desperately trying to hold on. So now Mamdani with the president in the Oval Office. Israel comes up. We'll see how much this guy wants peace. Go ahead. Cut 16, go.
I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president...
Whoa. The government, quote unquote, is not an amorphous thing. We have a president. Israel has a prime minister. So you're saying the prime minister is committing genocide and the president is funding the commission of genocide. How do you get around that? Go ahead.
About the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity. And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for...
So this is the way this works. And you'll notice the neo-Nazis make the same argument, the isolationists. Marxists, they've got it down. You know, folks, our tax dollars should not go overseas. We all agree with that, right? And so we ought to just stop supporting, really not just Israel, but any of our allies. Now, we've just committed to supporting Qatar, our children, to fight, to defend Qatar. We just committed to do the same for Saudi Arabia. Just committed. We've never committed to do that for Israel. And they're not part of NATO, and Europe is part of NATO, and so forth. You know, the Reagan statement that we're not Fortress America, because if we're Fortress America, we're not going to survive. We're just not, whether it's economics or geographics or militarily. It's just not going to happen. And the enemy will find us as they found us at Pearl Harbor. They're not going to ignore us just because we ignore them. It's not going to happen. So this Marxist, Islamist, neo-Nazi agenda and these arguments, they're intended to be very populist in nature and nationalistic in nature, but they are suicidal. Absolutely suicidal. Go ahead.
But also the following through on the promises we've made New Yorkers, and I appreciated the meeting we had and the work that we can do.
Do you agree that President Trump did do a peace and work hard to make the peace? Because he worked hard to do the peace in the Middle East and everywhere. Do you agree with that?
I appreciate all efforts towards peace, and I shared with President Trump that when I spoke to Trump voters on Hillside Avenue, including one of whom was a pharmacist that spoke about how President Trump's father actually went to that pharmacy not too far from Jamaica Estates, that people were tired of seeing our tax dollars fund endless wars, and I also believe that we have to follow through.
You know what else we're tired of? Illegal immigration, people who support you and subsidizing illegal immigrants. We're tired of other immigrants, even legal immigrants, being on welfare and food stamps and all the rest of that. We're very tired of that. We're tired of the enemy within, always looking for ways to divide us as a people and so forth and so on. Does he oppose us spending, God knows, billions of dollars feeding the third world, including the Palestinians? Does he oppose that? Does he oppose us and the Israelis spending a fortune on pushing food into Gaza, which Hamas steals? Is that money well spent or not? I'm just curious. We spend a tremendous amount more subsidizing illegal aliens in this country, healthcare, education, hotel rooms, crime, and so forth and so on than we do for any country outside of our border. Any. And you don't see them talking about the tax dollars there. They pretend that they care about the American people and the tax dollars. They don't. Not one damn bit. All right. But don't worry, he wants peace in the Middle East, and you conservatives out there, you're going to be surprised, I think. No, I'm not surprised. Not in the least. I won't be surprised by him anyway.